NFL free agency begins today. The roller coaster starts today. But what ended yesterday was Fletcher Cox's career as he retires from the game of NFL after his 13 years with the Eagles. Another legend calls it a career. We got lots on the agenda today. Taking your thoughts on Fletcher Cox retiring and what Howie Roseman's got cooking up. We're live with your thoughts and opinions in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Wherever you are watching, like, subscribe, follow, retweet, share. Make sure you spread the word of Trending in the AM and tell everyone to get interactive with the number one sports morning show in the Philadelphia area, the only one where your opinions actually matter. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. As always, you can find me on all social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge, and we got lots to get into today. Lots to get into. Today's the official start of the illegal tampering period, which they had to call it the tampering period, even though now the tampering period starts before the tampering period. I don't know what's going on in the NFL with that. They just might as well start it. So we're going to have lots of rumors, lots of news breaking throughout the day, maybe throughout this show. We'll see as it goes. But the whirlwind of free agency in the NFL begins today. And I may or may not have, I'm not sure if Howie's going to be extremely active or not. We're going to find out. Also, yesterday, breaking news, Philadelphia Eagles. Fletcher Cox has decided to call it a career. A short week after Jason Kelce does, another legend, another leader, another very productive player calls it a career for the Philadelphia Eagles, Fletcher Cox. So we're going to talk about that too. Lots of other NFL news, quarterbacks moving teams. We could get into that. Sixers with a gutsy win yesterday at Madison Square Garden. If anybody cares about the Sixers, that can be discussed. But whatever you guys want to talk about, we can talk about today. Yes, Cox is gone. Kevin Byard did sign with the Bears, 2 years, $15 million. That was, I don't know what Chicago's doing, but it is what it is. Yes, Brandon Graham is also returning, and I see you're trying to make a joke. Brandon Graham is very effective for the dollar amount that he uses or he commands, and the leadership. The Eagles are going to have a serious issue with leadership in 2024. And TMC, I see you're blowing up the comments here, man. With lots of things. It's going to be very hard for me to cover every single thing you say here. The Eagles are going to have a big leadership issue. Now that Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox are gone. And, you've got two guys left from that 2017 Super Bowl in Lane Johnson and in Brandon Graham. It was imperative that the Eagles found a way, if Fletcher Cox or if Brandon Graham wanted to come back, to find a way to get it done. Because you can't lose everyone. You can't lose every leader you've got left. What's up, Kylie? Congratulations on getting some credentials. You're going to kick ass covering the Phillies with those credentials down there. You might not even come back from spring training. You might just stay down there for the rest of spring training now that you got the credentials. Where's the core 12? It's a Monday morning. People are still getting used to the time change. And I'm sitting on my couch last night. It's like 6 o'clock, and I looked out. It's snowing and sunny. I'm like, what is going on? It always takes a little adjustment with the time zone change. It's okay. But Fletcher Cox leaving, very important, very big deal that he's retiring. But it's a very big deal that Brandon Graham got a deal done to stay. so that we still have at least one veteran leader left on this team, at least on the defensive side, and Lane Johnson on the offensive side as well. This is the Philly Dogs year. Well, let's go Birds. Nitro, I'm starting to see some conservative opinions about our Eagles. When you hear everybody talking, when you think about it, Howie Roseman's going to be reshaping this team massively. Offensive core, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, it's set. Devontae Smith, most of your offensive line. But there are going to be 4 or more brand new regular contributors on our defense in 2024. I've said it 100 times. This is maybe the most important offseason for Howie Roseman ever. There's lots that he's got to fix in one short offseason. That's why I am just saying to everybody, be patient. Patient with the moves that come down. There is a solid chance that Howie Roseman between today and Wednesday only brings in one guy. One big ticket guy. I know everyone wants Bryce Huff, Xavier McKinney, Patrick Queen, Saquon Barkley, all these new names, or these big names. But the odds are only one of them lands in Philly. Now, I know which one I want, but we'll get to that. And then, typical Howie fashion, Howie will let free agency settle. Then he will pick up 3 or 4 really solid players down the line. Kind of like in 2016, when he brought in McLeod, Nigel Bradham, guys like that. Guys that helped solidify this team, but weren't the flashy names. That's what I see happening. There's a chance that nobody gets signed by the Eagles in the first 3 days. It's a crazy, wild week upon us right now. Sweat. I mean, that's another one that rumor that's been bouncing around this weekend. Do I think Howie asked Fletch to come back end of October? I don't know. Relaunch. Is Fletcher Cox going to pull one of those like Nnamdi Asomugha, not Nnamdi Kinsu kind of scenarios where he's like a midway point? Maybe some team does. I don't know. It depends on I think Fletcher Cox is officially retired. I think in his mind he's retired. But skip training camp, skip the grind of the first few weeks, maybe, just maybe. Fletcher gets the itch, and if the Eagles have injuries or struggling on the defensive line, maybe. But at this moment, I would say no. Big move today at running back coming, not for the Eagles. I highly doubt the Eagles sign a running back today. Look, Saquon Barkley has been linked to the Eagles since day one of this offseason. I do not see it happening. His value of 1 year, $10 million contract, 2 year, $18 million. Howie Roseman is not spending $10 million in 2024 on one running back. He's just not going to do it. You might not even see DeAndre Swift back. We dabbled with this name last week, and I thought about it a lot this weekend. Your best your more realistic option is an Antonio Gibson type to pair with Kenny Gainwell, to pair with a 5th round draft pick, whoever that may be. That is where you're best looking for the Eagles at running back. I see a lot of rumors that Saquon to the Bears, which would make sense to give Justin Fields or Caleb Williams a strong running back, as long as you build an offensive line that can protect and block. New captains, new young blood. Let's go, Ski Mask Howie. You're always super positive, and I love that, Nitro, about you. And we still have leaders on this team. We still have captains from 2023 on this team. There's going to have to be some new ones as well. Kelce and Cox, those leaders have to be replaced. But not just the leadership has to be replaced, the production does. Massive day today for one Howie Roseman. See, Howie Roseman, today's the massive day for him because he's going to watch everybody else dump money. Nobody wins the Super Bowl on the first day of free agency. I say this every single year. No one wins the Super Bowl on the first day of free agency. It just doesn't happen. You got to plot, you got to plan. It's chess, it's not checkers. Normally the team that spends the most money in this first day does not even make the playoffs. So patience, but it is a massive time. And I do want to see him go out and get a 25-year-old stud, either at linebacker or at safety. I'm really zoning in on my biggest want is Xavier McKinney. We've seen throughout the last 20 plus years in Eagles history, having an elite safety in the back end of your defense, how important it is. And no offense to what we've got, Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown. That's not what I'm talking about. Go get Xavier McKinney, whatever it takes, get it done today, and then let everything else settle. And then pounce on your secondary defensive ends, your secondary linebackers, things like that. Good morning, Eric. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Smith, looking at a new contract. Yes, and that's the other thing. We got $50 million or whatever it is in cap space. I've heard so many different numbers. But you still got to give Smitty his big deal. And you still got to give Landon Dickerson, Nitro, his big deal this week, this month, this offseason. That's going to eat up some of that capital as well. And they're important moves. You cannot lose Landon Dickerson or Devontae Smith, so you've got to give them their big deals. I'm open for all possibilities today. Only prediction I'm confident about is Justin Simmons will quarterback this defense. And I'm okay with Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons, signing Xavier McKinney, which is my dream scenario, an elite, young back-end safety, does not eliminate them from signing Justin Simmons as well. Remember, think about that. We only have technically one safety in Reed Blankenship right now. Sidney Brown's going to be gone for a little while. I would foresee Sidney Brown not even playing until October or November, if that. So you could go get Simmons on a 2-year deal, maybe, and Xavier McKinley. That would be huge. First clue, he isn't single. Who? We had leaders last year, and yet we still had leadership issues. I see a lot of people talking about trying to find some story in the fact that the two guys that stood up for Nick Sirianni are the two guys that retired, openly stood up for him, in Kelce and Cox, and they're both gone. That's weird. Everybody kind of trying to find something there. And I don't know. I had hoped Barkley would go to Bears or Texans. I like the rumors. I think unbiased, non-Eagles fan Phil says that the Bears are a perfect spot for Saquon Barkley. Whether they keep Justin Fields, which doesn't seem like anybody wants Justin Fields, or they draft Caleb Williams, it seems like a good spot for him. Next to a mobile quarterback, next to a young quarterback, brings his blocking skills, his dump-off skills. I think the Bears are a great spot for him. Leadership has to begin with Jalen Hurts. That's without a doubt. Big Al. Jalen Hurts has been a leader. He is a leader. Does he have to change his leadership style or how he gets it done? Maybe. I don't want Jalen Hurts to change who he is, because who he is what makes him special. But he's going to have a lot more pressure on him to lead this year than last year. He doesn't have Jason Kelce there helping him in that department. What time does it start? The tampering period technically already started. Legal tampering is supposed to start today at some point. But now that there's a legal tampering period, now there's rumors of illegal tampering going on before the tampering period. The NFL needs to just change things. I'll get into this I got a special guest on Thursday joining me, Chris Romanelli, the most famous Eagles season ticket holder there is out there. I want to get his thoughts on Cox and Kelce retiring, since he's been around the team so much. But he responded to my post about that the week after the Super Bowl, just start everything. And he's like, no, this is the way it should be. The week after the Super Bowl, all coaches, and the week after that, all players can just get signed. Just start it immediately. Just get it done with. Because we know these guys are talking to agents. These teams are talking to agents, and players are talking to agents, and things are getting done with. Simmons is old. He's 30, 31. I don't know if that's old. He still plays at a high level, TMC. So I wouldn't say that. Your new running back is not single. Justin Fields. Yeah, Justin Fields. I've not been a Justin Fields fan since day one. Said it was a reach for him. Said he was going to struggle in the NFL, especially in Chicago. I know. Exactly. He's still pretty good. He's not Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard was a former All-Pro that was at the end. Or not even at the end. Just not what he used to be. Justin Simmons is still what he used to be. But he is old. And at some point, he will hit that wall. So we got to worry about that. So that's why 2-year deal. That's my max on Justin Simmons. I don't want anybody 30 years or older getting more than a 2-year deal from the Eagles this offseason. I don't. It is kind of weird, isn't it, Eric? The two guys that spoke up to show their support for Nick Sirianni, gone. Both could have played again. Both were still playing at an all-pro elite level. Now, maybe not all-pro first team. Jason Kelce still playing as a top 3 center in football. Dude, guys, just a forewarning. There's going to be a huge sun glare. I guess I didn't adjust for the time change here. And I could see it already starting to form on my forehead. There's going to be a huge sun glare here for a few minutes in a little bit here. Just warning y'all, it's coming. But the two guys that supported Nick Sirianni are gone. And it brings up the other question, is Fletcher Cox a Hall of Famer? Is Fletcher Cox a first ballot Hall of Famer? Should Ohio prepare for a day 5 years from now when two legendary Eagles go in on the same day? Man, paint that town red or green so quickly. He is Devin. No, he is not. It's a line from Liar Liar. Okay. I mean, I don't think I've ever quoted Liar Liar. Technically, deals can both be negotiated and announced at noon. Noon is the technical time, even though we know deals are already getting done. Let's say B. McKee. Thanks for checking in. Make sure you hit that like and retweet button. Deals are already getting done. They had to call it the legal tampering period because deals were getting done before. Now there's the pre-legal tampering period where deals are getting done. It's hilarious. All NFL teams tamper. They are just too dumb to negotiate on burner phones. Yeah. No, what they are, Eric, is too dumb because they tell every source they've got, hey, just so you know, we're talking to this guy. Keep your mouth shut. Don't tell anybody you're tampering. Travis, what's up, my man? Jeremiah Trotter Jr., our future linebacker star. I don't know. Everybody loves Trotter Jr. only because of the namesake. This is not the bloodline. You do not have to acknowledge him. I don't. There's better options at linebacker than Trotter Jr. Trotter Jr. is a tackling machine, but he is also an undersized linebacker. We already have the Kobe Dean, an undersized linebacker. We need someone a little bit bigger. We also need someone that fits the Fangio scheme perfectly. So I don't know. I don't know about Trotter. Safety market flood. There are a lot of safeties out there. A lot. That could be good for the Eagles. That means if they don't get Xavier McKinney or their first choice, maybe they get their second choice at a much cheaper price than originally would have happened. There are a lot of elite safeties available. It's kind of crazy. The daylight savings reset, and it's gonna be blinding in here shortly. Another clue for new running back. Let me simplify for Phil. My name is Devin S. Oh, you're talking about Devin Singletary? All right. Sorry. Dude, sometimes you spam the comments with so many comments, I can't keep track of what you're saying. Trotter Jr. was a top-tier tackling machine throughout his... That's fine. Pretty sure Nakobe Dean was too when he was healthy. It's just the size that concerns me. The size. Byard went to Chicago like TJ. Yeah, but it's a different situation, Travis, because the Eagles let TJ Edwards and Kassir White go in free agency, and they failed to replace them. They spent nothing. They gave us Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham. They're going to go out there and get a safety to replace Byard with. They're not going to go into next year with what they've got in Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, and hope that Ringo or Ricks can transition to safety for a few months till Sidney Brown. Like, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to go out there and get one of these elite safeties that are available, whether it's Simmons, whether it's McKinney, whether it's both of them, whether it's any of the guys from Buffalo, anywhere. They're going to go out and spend money on safety. They will. I really truly feel. Now, they might still not replace or spend money at linebacker, but they will spend money at safety. They have to keep Vic Fangio's system running the way he wants it to. No, you haven't yet. No, not yet. You haven't said anything too stupid yet. Chicago's a weird. No, they're just a bad organization. The worst media source leaker in sports is Daryl Morey. He probably CCs these text messages to his contacts. Someone bringing the Sixers name into the conversation. I thought we were going to avoid the Sixers today. Maybe we don't. Maybe we talk the Sixers a little bit. Edmonds stinks. Massive deal last year. He didn't get a massive deal. We cut him after a while. Or no, we traded Terrell Edmonds. That's right. But still, we didn't give him a massive deal. That's a stretch. I mean, Sproles was tiny also. I pray we don't bring back Gardner Johnson. Sproles was a running back in tiny. I was talking tiny on linebackers. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, if we miss out on Simmons and McKinney, he's a viable option, Matt. I don't want him back either. I don't want someone that badmouthed our city massively and our team massively on the way out the door because his agent screwed up. Not Howie Roseman. He could have been here already, but his agent screwed that up. I don't know if I want his personality back here in Philly. But there's worse options. Nakobe was a great cover linebacker in college. Sidney Jones was supposed to be a first-round cornerback because he was great in college. So you're hitting at the injury history. Howie is known to reach for injured guys in the draft. You know what? I take that chance on Sidney Jones every time. The talent was there. The size was there. He just couldn't stay healthy. Nakobe Dean was a third rounder. Sidney Jones was a second rounder. Nakobe Dean was a third rounder. You take that chance. I see rumors there's a guy, I think out of Oregon or Hawaii, a defensive end that was really, really hurt a lot in college, but's got superstar potential. Like, I'd take him if he fell to the second round, but not in the first round as some people are projecting him to go. That's it. That's all I'm saying. It's okay to reach on injury-prone guys in second and third round if they're first-round talents, but that just often get injured. If you don't listen to me, you just made the list. That's it. NFL talk only. No Sixers talk. I mean, I could shout out the Flyers. I could shout out the Phillies if I want to. Shout out the Union for trying to play in that rainstorm on Saturday. That's about it. It's all football. This week is going to be 90% football talk on this show. We'll have our Wednesdays with Crosby probably this week. We'll have our Friday, Philly Fridays with someone subbing in for Kylie on Friday. That's about it. It's going to be a lot of football talk this week. A lot of Eagles overreaction this week. Don't see Huff happening. Too one-dimensional. Bryce Huff is a name that a lot of Eagles fans this weekend have been jumping McKay all over. 25-year-old, had a great year in New York. Young, stud. But the Bryce Huff rumors go back to the theory or the conversation or this topic that the Eagles are not only giving Hassan Reddick an opportunity to seek a trade, but they're also shopping Josh Sweat as well. That the Eagles were, what was the word? Unhappy with their pass rush towards the end of the year last year, and they're looking to revamp it. I do not see Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat going, because if you lose both of them, then you better go get Bryce up and then draft somebody in the first round and sign another guy. You've already lost Cox. You know, if you lose one of them, you got to replace them, and you can do it cheaper. But Bryce Huff, you have to get if you trade both. I would love the fact that they're considering trading Josh Sweat tells me that they really want to try to keep Hassan Reddick. And you put Reddick and Nolan Smith, both on the outside. You get 2 middle linebackers or whatever else. That's where I go. What you can get for them, I know that we've talked to Hassan Reddick a lot. A third and a fifth might be your best chance there. Can you get a third or a fourth round pick for Josh Sweat? 26, 27 years old, has a knee injury history, has underachieved since his big contract, but's on the last year of his deal. If you can get a fourth for Sweat or a third and a fifth for Reddick, I'm trading Sweat over Reddick, and I'm going to give Reddick the money he wants. Remember London Fletcher, MLB for the Redskins? Oh, middle. I'm like, London Fletcher played baseball and for the Redskins? I'm like, I don't remember that. I'm not saying that small linebackers can't succeed. I'm just saying, do you really want 2 undersized guys on the same team at the same time for a long period of time? Because you Trotter Jr., Jacoby's only in his 3rd year. You got 2 young guys for a long time that are both undersized. I don't know. If you get Trotter Jr., you might have to consider moving on from Jacoby Dean. The second Slay steps out the building, he'll be CJ GJing our city as well. Oh, absolutely. He's already doing it. He's still part of our city, Eric. BG is only here for a year, and Lane might have another 2 to 3 in him. Yeah. And then all the 17ers are gone. We're down to 2 players left from the 2017 season. 6 years later, only 2 guys out of 50 plus are still here. 2 guys and 1 coach, Jeff Stoutland. I don't know if that's true on Stoutland being the only coach left, but probably. I'm going with Brandon Graham being back cheaply too. I think I heard rumors it was like $4 million. I was excited for the Sidney Jones pick and had high hopes. So was I. I love reaches in the 2nd or 3rd round. Not reaches. That's the wrong term. I love low risk, high reward moves like that in the 2nd and 3rd round. Guys that should have been first that drop for whatever reason, injury, personality, whatever. I want a stud no matter where I'm drafting, no matter what team I am. First round has to be a sure thing, in my opinion. 2nd, 3rd round, you could take injured players and take that risk there, especially if you have a good team. I had a downtime last night, so my internal clock is all kinds of messed up. If you know, you know. My internal clock's messed up big time. It is. Josh Sweat is one-dimensional as well. Yeah, Josh Sweat, I think we jumped the gun in overrating him. He got his extension a couple of years ago. I think we definitely jumped the gun there. He is good. But he's not great. You can replace him. You can get better there, for sure. You can also keep him and have success with him. Problem is, in Fangio's system, I don't know if here comes that sun glare. It's starting to peek through. It's going to be wicked for like 5 minutes, I bet you. It really is. I don't know if I could do anything about that unless I get up. And even that, I don't think it will help. 5 to 10 minutes. Phone updates from Kylie on no sponsor hotline would be lit. Tell us what she's seeing. She was at the games. She's been at 2 games already. And Philadelphia Sports Network was just giving credentials to Philly spring training. So since she's down there, she's going to be covering one of the spring training games later this week for the Phillies and for Philadelphia Sports Network. So congratulations to her for that one. That's a huge honor. Fletcher, this is interesting. I was wondering if someone would bring this up, Duck. Fletcher should have gotten a presser like Kelce did. He's been here long enough and is well liked. Why the different treatment? Why didn't he get that treatment? Did he not want that treatment? Maybe Fletcher Cox is not the guy that wants to be up there on the mic talking for 40 minutes. Fletcher probably felt that his Instagram letter, social media letter, was good enough. Maybe. It's funny. Like I feel as emotionally attached to Cox as Kelce, but I don't see the same outpouring of support for Fletch as we gave Jason. Just as important part of Eagles history. Maybe not Mount Rushmore level, but pretty damn close. Seven-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, first team one time. 70 career sacks, 188 games. It's been here a long time. Very rarely do you see defensive linemen, interior or exterior. Brandon Graham's going to be the next one next year. Play their entire career in one city. And Fletcher Cox has done that. We don't win a Super Bowl without Fletcher Cox on this team. He was Aaron Donald before Aaron Donald was Aaron Donald. He was the most dominant defensive tackle in football for a spell. Hassan is one-dimensional as well. I don't know about that. He can play the run, all right? He plays the run a lot better than people realize it. Do you think Maddox comes back on a team-friendly vet minimum? Maybe. What's going to happen, Matt, is that Avonte Maddox is going to test free agency today, tomorrow, Wednesday. He's going to see if there's a market for him. He probably was told by Howie, hey, we're cutting you, okay? Just so you know. Test the waters. This is how much we're willing to give you if you want to come back. I'm just going to make up a number, Matt. This is not a rumor. This is for discussion's sake. Howie Roseman goes to Avonte. We're cutting you. Here's a 1-year, $3 million contract. It's on the table. It's yours. If you want it, go out, see if you can get more. I actually think you deserve that opportunity to try to get a payday. But if you cannot, here's your 1-year, $3 million deal. But there's also a deadline on this. So they got to find other options. So that's what's if Avonte Maddox signs a multi-year deal, it's elsewhere. If he goes somewhere on a 1-year prove-it deal, it's in Philly. That's my complex answer to the Avonte Maddox situation. Fletcher didn't want one, probably. Yeah, that's what I think. Jason called for it. Yeah, Jason's also a very emotional, very outspoken type person. Not just with his podcast, with his speeches. And I don't know. I think Jason, it fits Jason's personality a lot more than Fletcher's. I can't blame the scheme on Sweaty and Hassan and change of coordinators. I didn't blame them for anything. I just think Hassan will be a better fit in the Fangio system than Sweat. And Sweat's a good player. I just don't know if he's as good as we anointed him. But now the Eagles are bringing the father of the scheme. Both of them never played the run, strictly pass. Hassan Reddick played the run very well this year. Go back and look at some film. There were some really good plays of him stretching run plays out and really getting into the backfield to tackle the runner. He's better at it than you realize. I don't like undersized players on D. They get hurt too much or manhandled or yeah. Yeah, especially at linebacker. I think you can get away with being undersized at certain positions, cornerback, maybe safety, maybe edge rusher. But linebacker, no. You got to have some girth at linebacker. Lots of mids on D. Things will get lit at noon. It's going to be a whirlwind at noon. Sweat might be done with Philly. I believe the only reason Reddick regressed in stats, because that's before I even read the rest of it, he regressed in stats. He didn't regress as a player. That's because he was dropped in coverage. Teams knew that he was, they blocked him better. The coverage. So it's I've said this before. You can get 70 sacks in the season because you have great coverage, but you can get great coverage can help you get 70 sacks as well. 70 sacks can help your coverage team be better. Both the pressure on the quarterback and the cornerbacks work together. Our cornerbacks, specifically James Bradbury, and whoever was filling in the slot played like trash this year. So you had a lot more 1, 2, 3, boom, quick throws. 1, 2, quick throw. 1.5, quick throw. Nobody. The greatest sacker of all time, Reggie White or whoever, can't get after the quarterback in 1 second. And when teams are picking apart your secondary like they did this year, your sack numbers are going to go down. All right. Well, it's gone now, the glare. Should have turned Watkins into a corner. Quez Watkins? Danny Watkins? Who? That's how number 65 got bald so fast. Damn son. Oh, man. It's shining off the bald spot that's slowly forming. Not really a bald spot, more a receding hairline. When I cut it super short, it's much more noticeable. Do I need to put some? I took my sunglasses out of here. Sorry. Fletcher isn't a big Mike guy. That's going to be big. Yeah, BG will have a big going away presser next year. He's going to have a whole going away tour this year. Brandon Graham. And again, because of Fletcher retiring, because of free agency about to begin, so many big names on the move. Brandon Graham signing's kind of just skating under the radar a little bit. But I do think it's a very big deal and very important that they've decided, and he's decided to come back for one more year just to keep at least one veteran voice there. Good edge and run. Yeah, Reddick's better than good. Just so you know, very good. So Russell Wilson is going to the Steelers and Mac Jones to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, I actually said this about Russell Wilson. I said Pittsburgh was the perfect place. I'm pretty sure on this show last week I said, when not hearing a single rumor, I said Pittsburgh was a great spot for him. I think I said Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Rumor is Kirk Cousins might go to Atlanta, which is a great place for him. Russell Wilson can go to Pittsburgh and be average and have Denver pay his whole salary. I love it. Mac Jones at Jacksonville makes no sense to me because if something happened to Trevor Lawrence and he goes down, I wouldn't want Mac Jones being my backup quarterback. Mac Jones should be in the UFL playing quarterback, not the NFL. Said it the day he got drafted, Mac Jones is not an NFL quarterback, and he got drafted. Not only he got drafted in the first round. What is up, Dave? Good morning to you. We're dropping like flies, and it's hard to stay positive that we could still be a really good team next season. Cox was amazing. He was still great. Yeah, absolutely. Got a faith. We still have an elite offense. Nuts and bolts. We don't have a single running back outside of Kenny Gainwell, but we still have Jalen Hurts. Still got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. We still have 4/5 of our elite offensive line. The offense is still going to be good. It really is. We're going to see on the defense. Jason is also a media guy. His presser bodes well for his new career. That's fair. Brings in another click for his podcast here and there. There's a lot of things that go into it. Depending on what corners are left at 22, give me Chop. Chop's the defensive end, right? See the Penn Stater, Dave, I think. I think that's what it is. Part of me not knowing every college football player in the first round just yet. But yeah, I think I did a mock draft, and I think I picked him up in the first round. And that's what you do. You go out, you trade Sweater Reddick, you draft a guy like Chop in the first round, you pick up a secondary guy instead of Bryce Huff, you spend your big money on Xavier McKinney and Justin Simmons if you want, and you reshape this defense. Young elite end, a young safety stud, a veteran safety that knows your new coordinator's system, and you rebuild this defense. I'm telling you, if you go get McKinney and Justin Simmons and keep Reddick, and just say, let me just say this. Let me put this out there. If you get Chop, you keep Reddick, trade Sweat. Keep Reddick, get Chop. You get McKinney and Justin Simmons. Bradbury is back to being a borderline all-pro cornerback next year. Bradbury stunk last year. I get it. He might not be as good as 2022. He's probably not as bad as 2023. He's somewhere in the middle. If you have a great defense around him, it'll make his job easier. Then you don't got to replace him at cornerback. Just saying, throwing that out there. Saul Beyer got a 2-year deal. Yeah, about $15 million from the Bears. Don't know the details of how much of it's guaranteed and whatnot. But yeah, got to deal with the Bears. That's fine. I'm good moving on from Beyer. 6'4", 235 and fast. Myles Garrett-esque. That's a bold thing. I hate, no offense, Dave. He's the next Myles Garrett. He's the next Tom Brady. He's the next this. He's the next that. I hate when we put elite players comparisons on them. I really do. I feel bad when they can't live up to that. Got a lot of Facebook comments rolling in today. Love it. Bradbury needs to be the face of the firing squad. End of story. I agree. And I get it. And I understand the frustration with JB from Eagles Nation. I do. Problem is, you cut him, another hole to fill. You already got to fill the Avonte Maddox hole. You got to fill the safety holes, the linebacker. You can only fill so many spots. And if you build enough of an elite defense around James Bradbury, you can mask it. What's worth? I know if you cut him post June 1st, it's only like a $4 million cap hit or something like that. But you know what? There's still more of a cap hit next year. So like the dead cap hit you could take now or next year. It might just be worth keeping him. Just like I said, I don't want to trade Hassan Reddick for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Just give him an extra couple $1 million a year. Sometimes the other options aren't the best option. I can see Howie moving up to pick the defensive end stud versus from Florida State or that stud defensive. Well, the Latu guy was the guy I was talking about early in the show when we brought up the Sidney Jones. Doesn't he have a massive injury history? I've seen some mock drafts of him falling past the Eagles at 22. And verse, how high do you got to trade up for him? I could see how he loves moving up and down in the draft. We might see him move up before draft night. We've seen that. We've seen him move up, back down, back up. We've seen that many a times. I don't know what Howie will do. I don't know what verse his projection is because he's never available at 22 when I do mock drafts. So I don't know where he's going to go. But Latu, you're not going to move up for. There's a lot of question marks on his health. Like when Barnett was supposed to be Reggie White because he broke. Yeah, exactly. Dark Barnett was supposed to be the next Reggie White. And that's unfortunate that was put upon him. I think we might think differently of Dark Barnett if he was drafted and everything went the same in his career. But he was not compared to Reggie White on draft night. If he didn't break Reggie White's sack record in college, he had 2 less sacks in college. But everything else went the same. We think of Dark Barnett differently. But all we were told as Eagles Nation was, next Reggie White. Here comes the next Reggie White. I hate high-end comps. Scott Kingery is the next Chase Utley. Yeah. I won't lie, Al. I bought into the Scott Kingery hype. I was ready for Scotty Jetpacks. I was calling him the next Craig Biggio before our knowledge of each other. Because Craig Biggio was an all-star center fielder, an all-star second baseman, an all-star catcher with the Houston Astros. And Scott Kingery wasn't a catcher, but he could play all 3 outfield positions. He could play all 4 infield positions. I was so high. I thought Scott Kingery was going to have a batting title in his career, a stolen base title in his career. I was so high on Scott Kingery. I fell for that trap. And I think he could have done it. But it was Mr. Analytics. Mr. Analytics trying to screw up his swing angle and his launch angle and everything else that was going on during the Clentac McPhail Kapler regime. Somebody in that room of those 3 really screwed up Scott Kingery's career. Now he's like pushing 30 years old. So long ago. The problem is the team paid a lot for him to be masked by real talent for him to barely be admitted. I get it. You're talking about James Bradbury. I get that. But sometimes Do you just take the cap hit, let him walk, have a hole, or you realize that outside of last year, James Bradbury has been a very good cornerback in his career. Not as elite as 2022, but he's been a good cornerback for most of his career. And I've said this before. You could trade Darius Slay and you could get a 5th-round pick for Darius Slay. You couldn't trade James Bradbury if you tried. Would it be smarter for them to move on from Darius Slay? Get a draft pick that then you can use as part of the package to move up in the draft. Get whoever you want. Is that the smarter move to make? And mask James Bradbury a little bit. And if he does stink again, then you bench him because you've got young guys on this team that can step in. I don't know. It's not a question I want to answer from how, like, I wouldn't want to be in Howie's shoes. Anyone else find it odd we never got an end-of-year press conference from Jeffrey Lurie yet? I know he always speaks in training camp before the season. Does he always speak at the end of the year? I thought his State of the Union, his State of the Eagles Union is always before the season starts, isn't it? Dave, I'm not sure. Refresh, when does he normally talk? The before the season is every year. He does one speech or one presser always at the beginning. But I don't know about is it every year at the end of the year. But I would have liked to have heard him talk. I would have. I'll come back to this in a second. I would have liked to have heard him with Howie Roseman after the season up on a podium taking questions. Not that the questions would have been good questions. Not that the media would have given him anything or gotten anything out of him that we needed or wanted to hear. But him giving his vote of support to Nick Sirianni would have been good. Or him saying we've got to be better and putting that pressure on them would have been good. I don't know. I thought Vinny Curry was a steal when he was drafted, but he never really had big years in Midnight Green. Where did we draft Vinny Curry? I forget. I forget what round we drafted Vinny Curry. I liked Vinny Curry. Vinny Curry was a big wrestling fan. Whenever WWE was in Philly, he was always sitting right behind the announce desk all the time. Big Vinny Curry fan. And he had that illness or something. And he came back, played well, then went to the Jets. He might still be in the league, honestly. He's the prototypical third down specialist. Yeah, I might have thought maybe he would have been better than that. But he still had a solid career. And still is having a solid career at this point. Unless he retired after last year. I don't know. But that's that. Me too. Yeah. Scott Kingery, man. I didn't know we were going to talk baseball today. I got literally zero baseball prep today, but that's what I do. I wing it. I just take notes throughout the day or the weekend. So I have ideas down for a conversation. So I don't know. I don't even know what happened with the Phillies this weekend. Scott Kingery is still in camp, trying to make a major league roster, but he'll be in AAA this year. At almost 30 years old. I can't believe another team at some point hasn't called the Phillies and said, yo, give me Scott Kingery. I'll give you whatever, a low-end prospect or some cash considerations or whatever. He was literally DFA'd and was brought back to the minor league team. He's not even on the 40-man roster right now, I don't think. And still nobody wanted Scotty Jetpacks. It's like one of those guys that has so much potential, and your team screws him up. Or maybe he was overrated. Even Derek Barnett wasn't wanted, and another team took him for next to nothing. Was it Houston this year, midway through the season, to try to unlock that potential? The fact that no baseball team ever tried to untap something, I don't know. It always shocked me. It always confused me. It always was. I just didn't understand why nobody ever took a swing at Scott Kingery and his swing. But back to football, because we're sticking to football. We are. Another deal happened this weekend. You had Baker Mayfield get 3 years, $100 million from Tampa, locking him up long term. And I will give him a little golf clap to Scotty Scheffler as well for winning the API yesterday. Very disappointing week. On to the Players Championship. We'll be back fairway to heaven this week tomorrow. breaking down the players, my favorite golf tournament of the year, my favorite non-major of the year. But Baker Mayfield got 3 years. Baker Mayfield's career was over. Done after Cleveland. Washed. He was in the same boat as Mac Wilson, honestly, at a point there. Baker Mayfield's only 28 years old. He took a flyer on a below average offensive team or below average team and organization in Tampa, took them to the playoffs. They rewarded him with a big contract, and I give him credit for it. Similar to Geno Smith going to Seattle and getting a 3-year deal last offseason after proving himself. Baker proved that he still got something left in the tank, and I love seeing that. I really do love seeing that. I also think you got some very interesting quarterback scenarios across the NFL going on with Mac Jones gone. The fact that nobody wants Justin Fields. Like, I'm not high on Justin Fields. You're telling me that one NFL team with a quarterback situation doesn't want him, would rather draft one of these other young kids instead? If the Bears can't trade Justin Fields, do they still draft Caleb Williams and let the two duke it out in camp? Man, do that and put that on Hard Knocks. There'll be some golf talk tomorrow night. It's my favorite tournament, the Island Green at 17 at TPC Sawgrass. Excites me every year. Baker's looking at $100 million on a 3-year deal. Hey, still less money than Daniel Jones got. Let's just throw this out there with quarterbacks in the NFL. The Giants still give more money to their quarterback than Baker got after leading his team to the playoffs last year. Just think about that for a second. And I know the Giants are rumored to be trying to get off of Daniel Jones now, that they're done with him for the most part. Field stinks. I said it the day he got drafted, that was going to be a mistake. All offseason last year, I was like, oh, Justin Fields is going to take the Jalen Hurts jump last year. And I'm like, nah. Justin Fields don't got what Jalen Hurts has got up here in the head. These QB prices are getting way out of control, and I blame the dude. But Daniel Jones is still making. Who would you rather have as your quarterback next year, Baker Mayfield or Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones is going to get $40 million next year. Baker Mayfield 33, and Baker Mayfield is 10 times the quarterback that Daniel Jones is. 10 times it. Fletcher Cox is an all-time great. Hey, Mister, what's up? Bringing Fletcher back into the conversation. Where does he rank on all-time Eagles? Let's just say in the modern history. Let's say since Jeffrey Lurie bought this team in whatever it was, 93 or 94 or whatever it was. Where does he rank all-time greats? Is he a top 10 Eagle of all time in the last 30 years? Obviously, Kelce. We've had quite a few Hall of Famers on this roster over the last 30 years. And Cox is a Hall of Famer by the standard that the Hall of Fame sets. If I had my way, it'd be harder to get into the Hall of Fame in all sports. And Cox would be borderline, in my opinion. Does Fletcher Cox get in on the first ballot with Jason Kelce as well? Because I think that's another interesting question. Does he get a first ballot treatment? And if anybody doesn't know, I have a very firm Sports Hall of Fame opinion that I so disagree with the theory that writers that get to vote these people in, they say, yes, you're a Hall of Famer, but you don't deserve to get in on the first try. Why? If they're a Hall of Famer, they're a Hall of Famer. So if you as a writer think Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer, you have to put him in the first time. Why wouldn't you? If he's a Hall of Famer, why make him wait an extra year? Just make the Hall of Fame that in 5 years from now, that would be 2029, Eagles Hall of Fame Day. Dude, Philly Sports Trips or whatever that site is that does it, would have so many busloads of people going out to Canton for that. Let me tell you, they'd be selling that out right now if we knew both were going in. Here's a question. Who's our vet quarterback backup going to be? Seems as though we ran Hurts into the ground because of Mariota wasn't the guy. Nah. I don't think we ran him into the ground. He was hurt right from the get-go. and he's a tough guy. He plays through it. We're going to need a backup quarterback unless you're there's some people out there, the McKeisters, that still want Tanner McKee to be our backup quarterback. Eh, eh, I don't know. I think that you bring in a veteran. It's not going to be. I see people on Twitter saying Jacoby Brissett or Tyrod Taylor. They're big dollar backups. And while Howie values the backup position at quarterback a lot, I don't know if he values it enough to give $8-9 million to a backup quarterback. I think they go out and get an old vet, another Marcus Mariota type, to compete with Tanner McKee for the number 2 spot. These are the pool of quarterbacks entrusted with the script. Yeah. I think Baker's only has 2 years guaranteed. It's possible. It's possible. There's always an out in every NFL contract. Very rarely anymore, unless you're Deshaun Watson. Hell, I don't know. Well, there was another deal. I forgot about the Jerry Jeudy trade. Jerry Jeudy got traded too. We'll get to that in a second. Baker Mayfield. Look, I think Geno had an out after his contract too. Like everybody has outs in their contracts, unless you're Kirk Cousins or Deshaun Watson, where they get fully guaranteed contracts for some reason. Don't forget, Jerry Jeudy got traded, and I got crushed last offseason because I was in a lot of fantasy football conversations on social media. I don't really focus on fantasy football as much as I used to, but people were saying, it was a bounce back year. Jeudy was going to blow up finally. I've been saying it. Jerry Jeudy is not it. And he gets traded for what, a 5th and 6th round pick? Cleveland stockpiling wide receivers for 5th round picks. First Amari Cooper, now him. Jerry Jeudy's not it. Not even close. Hurts is him. Baker stinks. Baker's a good quarterback. He took his team to the playoffs. Smash that like button. Yes. How many likes do we have on this show so far? Probably not enough. What is up, JPP? My man. Hope you. I was checking in on social media because I was hoping to see JPP at the Union game on Saturday night doing water angels on the field. That would have been a thing. Getting a video of JPP and my man Mike Barrera at the Union game doing snow angels out there. That would have been it right there. That would have been it. Mac Jones does not stink. He just isn't a quarterback at all. Eagles Hall of Fame. He's not NFL Hall of Fame. Fletcher Cox. Duck, I agree and I disagree. I agree because I think the Hall of Fame in all 4 sports should be for the elite of the elite of the elite. The best of the best with honor, sir. If you know, you know. But the current standards, it's just the best. And I mean, 6, 7 Pro Bowls, 4-time All-Pro, 1-time first-team All-Pro. I think he gets in. By the current standards, I think it is. Buenos dias to JPP. My man, I love you, my man. We got to work together again soon. What linebacker do you think we should grab? OZ. I wish it was Lamade Zacchaeus OZ, but it's, we'll take you. Linebacker. I mean, I've been pushing hard for Xavier McKinney to be the big ticket item at safety. I want Patrick Queen to be the big ticket item because I think we only signed one big ticket item. I would love Patrick Queen. It's going to cost you $18-20 million. Howie Roseman would never dump $20 million a year into a linebacker. I got some linebacker names here that I wrote down. Mac Wilson, Andrew Van Ginkel. They're like the highest end guys. Maybe Jordan Hicks. Howie's going to spend money on linebacker more than last year. But I don't see him doing what we would love to see, which is a Patrick Queen type. That's why you don't even hear any Eagles fans talking about Patrick Queen, because I think we've all come to the understanding that it's just not going to happen. Howie just won't spend money at linebacker. He'll spend more than last year. I think he realized his mistake in letting both TJ Edwards and Kazir White go. But you're going to get a 3rd round draft pick, whoever it may be, and Ginkel, Wilson. Yeah, those kind of guys. Maybe a Jordan Hicks comes back to Philly. That's about it. That's what you're going to get at linebacker. Linebacker won't be filled today or Wednesday. Linebacker will be filled 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. right before the draft, after the draft. That is when maybe they don't sign a linebacker, period, till after the draft. See if they get Cooper or Trotter or whoever they want in the draft. And if they miss out on one of those guys, then they start piecing it together with the back end of free agency. I don't think Fletcher's an NFL Hall of Famer. I mean, I think you're entitled to that opinion. I think there's some validity to the opinion. I think based off the standards to get into the Hall of Fame today in 2024, he is, and it's close by today's standards. Imagine if it went by my extreme standard. It's not as hot as it sounds. I feel McKee is riding the Rashad Penny train and will just take up a roster spot. That went down the wrong pipe there. Yeah, I mean, we're a quarterback factory, right? Don't be shocked if the Eagles draft another quarterback or pick up one of these free agent quarterbacks to be a back-end guy. I don't know. Or make huge area Hall of Fame and small legends area. So you want two different tiers of the Hall of Fame. Yes, that was a Men in Black reference. Thank you for picking that up. I love that line. I use it all the time at work, during the day, just throughout my life. And no one knows what I'm talking about. The best of the best with honor, sir. Yeah. And I have to do it with that deep voice like the guy did in the show. And I always have to salute when I do it too. So I'm glad someone picked up on it. Men in Black, we always talk movies on this show. So anybody watching for the first time, we'll reset in a second. Love talking movies on this show. And I think Men in Black 1 is an extremely underrated flick. Will Smith, excellent for that role. Tommy Lee Jones plays that dry, boring humor to perfection. So underrated, that movie. That's all I'll say about that. I love anytime Men in Black 1 is on, it's always a watch. I don't watch 2 or 3 when they're on, but always, always. What do we got here? What linebacker do you think we should look at this? Everybody wants to know about the linebacker. Thank you for checking in, Jason. Make sure you hit that like and share and subscribe button. Perfect fit versus, so the other question was the last linebacker question, where was it? Was who do we want or think we should grab? You're saying which one would be a perfect fit. That is tough for me to answer because I'm still trying to fully grasp and understand what a Vic Fangio linebacker is. So the perfect fit for this team, everybody wants Justin Simmons because he knows the Vic Fangio system at safety. I would rather them go out and spend big money on Xavier McKinney at 24 years old, let him learn the Vic Fangio system. And there's, I think, 2 or 3 guys from the Dolphins in Denver that have been cut or that are available that have played under Vic Fangio. Give me a linebacker, not a safety, that has played under Vic Fangio, Jason. That's what I would want. Because that back end safety, yeah, they anchor the back end of the defense, but linebacker, they call the shots. I don't know if I want Nakobe Dean with the green dot on the back of his helmet. Give me somebody on a 1 or 2 year deal that has played under Vic Fangio and that could start at middle linebacker and make all the defensive calls. And I'm having trouble off the top of my head remembering the 2 or 3 names that I'm thinking of that have played under Fangio in the past. I think the tough thing is that they only have 5 guys get picked for the Hall of Fame a year. I mean, Antonio Gates didn't get in this year. Well, yeah, that's why. So this is going into my theory that my conversation of you're either a Hall of Famer or not. It's just like in baseball, you can only vote for 10 guys. And if there's 11 guys on your ballot that you think are Hall of Famer, you can only pick 10 of them. That's stupid. Hall of Fame voting in general is stupid. How it's done is stupid. The rules in place is stupid. The level of talent that gets in all sports Hall of Fames is below what I would feel should be necessary. Guys, you're watching Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We got comments coming in from all platforms, so make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, you retweet, you follow wherever you are watching. And get those comments in. Free agency starts today. If you want to talk Sixers in the final 20 minutes, drop a Sixers conversation. We have dabbled in Phillies just because somehow Scott Kingery came up. I don't even remember how Scott Kingery came up in the conversation today, but he did. So keep it going, guys. Keep it going. And Van Ginkel, yeah, Van Ginkel is the one name. I got him listed here in on my secondary page in notes. I was just going through the free agent list of guys who was available. I was writing down some linebackers, some cornerbacks, some safeties, secondary guys that aren't going to get $80 million, $100 million, guys that aren't going to get 5-year deals. And Andrew Van Ginkel was one of them. 28. You can even give at 28 years old. You can conceivably give him 3 or 4 years. You could. He's not going to cost you Patrick Queen $18 million a year. Can you get Van Ginkel on $6 million a year? If you get Van Ginkel for 3 years, $20 million, sign me up for that. I think that would be a perfect linebacker spot or position filled. Then you do that. You draft one in the 3rd round, and then you got Ginkel, you've got Dean, and you got whoever you drafted. Don't forget Sean Bradley will be back on special teams too at linebacker next year. Not a big Men in Black fan. Why? I need to know why. Because I remember seeing it in movie theaters when I was younger, and every time it's on, it's always on. I enjoy thoroughly Will Smith's performance, and even more so Tommy Lee Jones is one of the most underrated actors, in my opinion, of all time. The guy's done it all. The Fugitive, serious roles, comedy, superhero roles, he's done it all. It was original script idea, characters writing. Last 15 years, it's no risk, no original, just recycled trash. Sixers and Knicks putting up 19. Yeah, dude, it was 15-15 at the end of the first quarter last night. I was like, this game is on pace to have under 125 points after the first quarter. I was like, what in the world am I watching here? But you know what? I'll give the Sixers credit. The Knicks are a better team than the Sixers at the moment. Still without Tyrese Maxey, and they fought. Well, some of them fought. Tobias Harris just sat there and did nothing. You know, that's Tobias Harris. Sometimes that happens. I don't know why. What did TMC teach us? Van Ginkel a half year ago, Phil would not acknowledge it. Dude, you say so many things that go over my head because you don't say full sentences in your comments. How many times am I going to tell you? I miss things that you say because I just can't read half of them. Frankly, it may be a lack of intelligence on my end. Oh, yep. It's just a fun, good movie. I love Men in Black. It was entertaining so no one knows that, is a comic book movie from a pretty good series. I had no idea. I thought it was an original. Just thought it was something random. It's not like last night was the Oscars, and I don't watch the Oscars because I don't go to movie theaters. I don't see movies typically till they're out on demand. I hate movie theaters in my old age. I'm grumpy. And I have a weak bladder, so I can't sit through a movie without hitting pause. Most movies need like a little timeout in the middle of it so everyone can use the restroom. That would be great. I would go to them more often. But with the Oscars last night, I don't watch them because I don't know who all these movies are. I can't tell you the last time I saw an Oscar-nominated movie in the movie theater. Money in the Bank, Men in Black. Where's my mind today? Money in the Bank. What the hell? Men in Black is not going to contend for an Oscar ever. Ever. But it's fun. It's entertaining. At the time, it felt original. We didn't need 14 sequels to it, but whatever. It was excellent movie. It rejuvenated Will Smith's music career. I was going to say rap career, but I don't know what. I would just call him a pop artist of some kind. I don't know. So they put out a new album after that because of his little job he did on the soundtrack. And I did go out and buy that Will Smith album after Men in Black. Yes, I was a loser like that. There's some really bad songs on it. Welcome to Miami. If you day one don't like Men in Black, I look at you side eye. If you do, I don't like. See again, things that I just don't understand what you're saying. I know one actor named Zinlas or what? Again, the weird, out of left field comments. I don't understand what you're saying half the time. Reread what you're saying. They don't make sense. Last original movie in like last 15, Irishman, because that was really original. Just another mobster movie. Um, Underrated comedy sci-fi movie was Oh man, this was just on a couple months ago at like on a Saturday night at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I tweeted it out. It is a fan freaking tastic movie. David Duchovny, Sean William Scott before he was famous. Um, what's the dude from the drum line? Um, and also known as Clifford Franklin, the best wide receiver of the Washington Sentinels in that movie. And they stopped the alien invasion with Head and Shoulders. Well, no, it wasn't Head and Shoulders. It was a Pert Plus with a shampoo. Great, great, great pull from Big Al here. Me and Big Al are best friends forever now because he mentioned evolution in my comment section. No movie will ever beat Forrest Gump in being titled the most overrated movie of all time, Matt? Did I just say that out loud? I like Forrest Gump. It's a good movie. I've learned to appreciate it. But when I saw it the first 3 or 4 times, I felt it was so overrated, Forrest Gump. Good point. Anyone got a recent original movie? I don't watch movies. It was Head and Shoulders. I knew it was a shampoo. I couldn't remember which one. The heavy set kid who was in a bunch of side movies and side parts and bit parts. He's like, "Oh, I know that." He's like, "Oh, you got an A in the class." Such a it was such a good movie. I loved it. Dan Aykroyd had a little spot in it. It was such a good movie. It makes me laugh whenever I watch it. Says to Mister, I live in Savannah, Georgia, and actually watched it get filmed here. What, Evolution? Really? Or are you talking about Forrest Gump or which one? Because you mentioned Forrest Gump. We're talking about Evolution. We're talking about a lot of different movies here. If someone says to me, I don't like Men in Black, I will look at you with a side-eyed facial expression. See, now that's a comment. I understand what you're saying. You said a complete sentence. So thank you. But you just said it was overrated. Now you're saying you like it. Donkey Lips from Salute. Forrest Gump you saw getting filmed. That's pretty cool. I've never seen it. Actually, I have seen one movie get filmed. And it put me on the ban list at so what's that big resort in the Bahamas? I don't even remember the name of the movie. I remember it was Selma Hayek, Pierce Bronson, Woody Harrelson, something the sunset. It's like a like a heist type movie with an FBI person chasing. Forget what the movie was called. They were filming a scene at the big resort in Nassau, and my cruise ship was having an overnight in Nassau. So me and my friends went to the casino to gamble, have a good night out, and they were filming a scene of the movie. I was, we'll just say, one too many adult beverages deep that night. And anybody walking around could be an extra in the movie. So I decided to go be an extra in the movie. And I'm standing there. They're filming a scene where one of the actors is drunk coming off the beach and the other actor is carrying the drunk person in the hotel. And I'm in the background doing all different things. They're like, cut, get that extra out of here. And I stuck back in and did it again. Cut. Security came, escorted me off the premises, and I was kicked out and told never to come back into the casino or the resort ever again. I'm sure they forget who I am by this point. But that was I actually watched the movie just to see if my part got left in there and didn't hit the cutting room floor. It got cut, unfortunately. Mitchie Poo, what is up, my man? I've been waiting for a Tobias Harris joke all morning from you. And here you are in the last 15 minutes. Forrest Gump is great at Tobias Harris. Forrest Gump could probably score more points on this Sixers team than Tobias Harris. And that's not a bold take. That's just a fact. There you go. See, there you go. Oppenheimer was great, and so was Killers of the Flower Moon, yet hard to watch due to how awful people can be. So I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I will at some point. That's my bad for not seeing it yet. But again, longer movies, it's got to be watched at home where you can hit pause and use the bathroom. It happens from time to time, Saturday night. Please tell me you're in movie. I'm not in the movie. I want it to be. Forrest Gump is depressing, nostalgic garbage. Wow. That's a little. Scotty Scheffler learned how to putt, K1. And we'll be kicking off the show tomorrow night, Fairway to Heaven, probably 9 p.m. Maybe I'll try to get it in a little earlier if I can. We'll be talking about Scotty Scheffler. He figured out how to putt. Like 9 straight holes, 10 straight holes, one putted yesterday. You got to give Scotty Scheffler his flowers, K1. K1 chiming in late as well. Everyone's coming in late. Everyone's off with the time change. Everyone's still adjusting to the new daylight time. I woke up this morning, my typical 6:30, and it was pitch black. I was like, it sucks. But at least when I get home from work tonight, there'll still be a glimmer of light. And that's all I want. Once the spring's forward, it means you get 9 holes of golf in the afternoon. It means you can sit on your deck after work. So much positive from the extra hour at night. Lock the clock. Yeah, don't change it back. That's all I'm saying. Until Dean can get off of IR, I'm only giving him the green Band-Aid instead of the green dot. I like that. That's semi-comical right there, Eric. Semi. Dean to me, Nakobe Dean, I'm a huge Nakobe Dean fan. I love the potential of what I saw. I didn't watch him in college, but everything I read, all the highlights I watched, everything I learned about Nakobe Dean during his draft process and early on in his Eagles career, he's got skills. He's got so much potential, but he hasn't proven it yet. So Nakobe Dean next year, this past offseason, we went into it, Nakobe Dean's the guy. He didn't have to fight for anything. He didn't have to earn anything. Nakobe Dean's got to earn his spot on the team. Maybe not his spot. He won't get cut per se. But Nakobe Dean's got to earn it, at least the starting role. And he's definitely got to earn the green dot. And that's why a guy like Van Ginkel can fill that role, ease some of that pressure on Nakobe Dean. Maybe Nakobe Dean's better suited on the outside. I don't know. We'll see. Mr. IR, George is so over. What? Who's Mr. IR? George, who's George? Again, with the no context comments. I love it. Love the no context comments, guys. Anyway, we're getting to the final 10, 12 minutes of the show here. What else? What do we think? Tomorrow. Let's close this show for 10 minutes with a question. Actually, before I ask the question, let me refresh my Twitter page. All right, maybe something happened in the last hour and 15 minutes that I haven't found yet. Maybe there's a rumor that's floating that I haven't heard yet. Not yet. On a quick search. My question for you, the listener, is tomorrow, when this show kicks off at 8 a.m., as it does every day, Monday through Friday, who will we be talking about? Will it be Bryce Huff? Will it be Xavier McKinney? Hopefully it won't be Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. Who will it be? Justin Simmons probably will be the name we're talking about. I don't want that. I want McKinney. But K1 wants it to be someone that I can't pronounce the name of. I don't know who that'll be, but K1's probably hoping for somebody with a tough name. Will there be? Because Howie's got 2 styles in the offseason. It's be patient and wait till the market sets, or make one big signing and then wait till the market sets. Howie very rarely comes out. Like the days of Nnamdi Asomugha, Byron Maxwell, and all these big names in previous regimes. They don't happen anymore. They don't go gold standard and whatnot, dream team in the first day of free agency anymore. So what guy will we get linked to that we're signing on Wednesday today? Will there be a big name agreeing to the Eagles? Christian Bezuidenhout will not be playing for the Eagles. Okay, K1? He just won't. Question. Does anyone know how Vic can determine who could play in his system during the offseason? Is it watching tape mostly? Yeah, I'm sure. And again, I'm no defensive expert. Okay? I'm not, Dave. I've heard and I've read that linebacker and safety are very important. What kind of linebacker? I'm not sure. But Vic Fangio knows you need skill set X, Y, and Z. In that order. X is the most important. Y is second most important. Z is the third most important thing. you've got to check all those boxes, or you've got to check 2 of the 3 boxes. You better check box 1 before box 2. And he's going to know. These are the guys I need. He's giving Howie, here's my list, my preferred list. Here's 10 names for linebacker, okay? In the order that I think they would most succeed. Now, you have to reorder them, Howie, in the ones you think you can get. And they meet in the middle somewhere there. Vic Fangio knows what he needs. It's up to Howie to get it for him. Wanted to go to a movie to see Oppenheimer, but now don't know if I can sit through it at home. It's easier to sit at a movie through home. Mr. IR, N'Kobe Dean, Georgia University football players are so 2019. Phil's a disclaimer. I have no problem. I'm probably the only content creator out there that will openly admit I don't know certain things. I guarantee I'm the only one that admits when he's wrong, because nobody ever admits when they're wrong. They either double down or they swing some narrative around it. Me, I'm always wrong. I know I'm wrong. I don't care if I'm wrong. But I also know I don't watch a lot of college sports, so I'm not very good at judging players pre-draft. I do a mock draft here or there for fun, but I don't take it seriously. We'll get guys on the show leading up the weeks before the draft that know these prospects better to give us their thoughts. But that's it. I know I'm not an X's and O's guy. You don't see me pretending to break down all 22 film like Shane Haft does. And Shane Haft does it fantastically. One of the best. There's a couple guys that do it. Shane's the one that I watch the most. I don't do what he does, because that would be me pretending that I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a fan. I'm just a passionate fan that enjoys talking with the Core 12 here every single morning. Time for you. That is so fetch. Yeah. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I don't talk. We were talking at work this weekend with the high school kids. They're cool lingo. I'm like, what does that even mean? And I'm like, I don't talk like that. Why can't you just say what you mean instead of using cool lingo? Phil's a humble man, with much to be humble about. And I try to stay humble, my man. I do, K1. It's an important thing. It's an important trait to be humble in all aspects of life. Why not? Why did they remake the Millennial Mean Girls for Gen Alpha? I don't know what that means. With the Winston Churchill quotes, the Stoggles, stop making fetch happen. It's from Mean Girls. Oh. Never seen Mean Girls. Wouldn't know that. Mean Girls is not on my list of movies to watch anytime soon. Yeah, the kids all say it. Just say what you mean. Instead of saying mid, just say they're average. Instead of saying they're sus, say they're suspect. Just say what you mean. Don't come up with a cool lingo. Speak words eloquently. That's it. That's it. Bet. That's one that really annoys me. Everything is bet. Yo, can you do that? Bet. I didn't ask you to bet me if you could do it. Guys, I said this happened at the pizza shop recently. I'm like, yo, can you fold some extra boxes for me for tomorrow morning? Bet. Bet me what? That you could do it? You have to do it. I'm paying you. I told you to do it. We're not betting on anything. Bet can be used in so many different scenarios. I don't know whether I'm not betting you that you're going to fold the boxes. I'm paying you to fold the boxes. Like, seriously. Phil needs to watch Barbie 5. I've never watched Barbie, and I hope I never do. I hope I never do. The Zoomer Batman was not bad. More like Gen Beta. There's nothing alpha about this soft generation. We could do a whole show on that, Eric. I might get canceled if I said my true opinions on that, though. We'll just leave it at that. And we'll just say that, and that's it. So, stogies is an old slang term for cigars. I call them, when I smoke a cigar, which I don't anymore, I say, I'm going to go smoke a cigar. I don't say, yo, let me go get some stogies. No, I say, I'm going to go get some cigars. Like, seriously, actually, I might smoke a cigar soon. I got a couple left. Going to the mountains for a few days around Easter. So maybe I'll smoke one by the fire pit. I got a few left in my box. Bet equals okay. I know, but just say okay then. Or say yes, boss. Or say gotcha. Or I heard that and I'll take care of it. Why say bet? I hate having the conversation on slang. We do this far too often on here. Bet. I'm with you, okay? No, just say I'm with you, okay? Millennial bet. I feel you. No, just say I feel you. Just say I got you. Say what you mean. Don't come up with cool lingo. I hate it. Maybe I'm old. I'm a 43-year-old in a 65-year-old body with a 65-year-old mind. I'm just not meant for this generation and this world. I'm guessing Alpha is after Z. Anyway, guys, nobody answered my question. Who will we be talking about tomorrow to kick off the show? And I will say, I'm very disappointed we didn't talk a lot about Fletcher Cox today. So I'm going to keep talking Fletcher Cox throughout the week. No one told me where he ranks on their top tier list of Eagles of all time. What does a Landon Dickerson extension look like? That's a good question, Marshawn. I'm going to write that down. Landon extension. Because Landon Dickerson is clearly an elite guard. Maybe one of the 2 or 3 best in football already. I have to Google it after the show. If in the next 2 minutes you have an answer in the comments, it's great. What's the average guard salary for the top 5 guards? What's the top 5 guards in the NFL make on average? Because whatever it is, add a few million to it. If the average is 10 million a year, he's getting 14 million a year. You got to lock him up long term. 5-6 year deal. It's going to be the 5-6 year deal window for sure, with outs to extend it and whatever down the line. But it's going to be 5-year deals. What Jordan Mailata get like 468 or 570 or something like that? I almost feel like Dickerson, even though it's a guard, not a tackle, has to get at least what Jordan Mailata got, if not more. Even though guards are considered less important than tackles, even though I disagree. I think they're just as vital to an offensive line. I am older than you by more than 6 years, and I understand some of these kids. I understand some of them. I just choose not to use them, and I choose to not learn any more of them. I don't need to shorten anything. I don't need to. Size does matter, they say, so use the full word. I'm completely prepared to accept Howie Roseman doing absolutely nothing in free agency. Just feels like a rebuild summer. No. Just because he does nothing in the next 3 days does not mean anything. Howie Roseman does his best work on the secondary market, the second string of signings. He lets other teams overpay, and then he cleans up the scraps. Because think about it. Every team that wins the first day of free agency, how many of them actually make deep runs? Was it last year or 2 years ago? Jacksonville won the first day of free agency. I've heard Cleveland win the first day of free agency in years past. Most teams don't win. Just spending money, just signing the top 3 guys to the most money. If they don't fit your team, your system, your roster, doesn't make you better. You got to be patient. You got to see the whole picture, see the big picture. Justin Simmons and possibly Jeremy Chin as safety additions will be on the topic tomorrow. Interesting. So no Xavier McKinney, because that's my number one goal. But Simmons and Chin, because you could start Simmons opposite of Reed. Chin can be there as the third safety. Sidney Brown comes back. You can ease Sidney Brown back in with Chin as that third option. Simmons knows the Fangio scheme. Chin's coming off an injury too, because we were talking about trading for him at the deadline. And then he got hurt before the trade deadline. So I don't know what his injury situation is like now, Marshawn, but that's interesting. That could be it. That could be what we're talking about tomorrow. And that's fine. I need to go out and get a few cohibas for a whiskey sit down with a few neighbors. Duck, I need you to invite me. If you live anywhere near where I live, I'd love to come. I was drinking some Buchanan's Master Reserve on Saturday night. I haven't had a cigar. My breathing doesn't really enjoy cigars anymore. But We're going to the mountains. I know I'll be having a fire pit 1 or 2 days there, sitting by the fire pit, smoking a cigar, not a stogie, a cigar is always best there. Armstrong, I don't know. I have to look into it. Um, Landon is 17 to 20 million a year. A lot of money for a guard. You got to give it to him. 5 years, $90 million. Got to get it done. If you can get him at 5 years, 90, fantastic. 5 years, 100, less fantastic, but still got to do it. There goes my pen. It's a good thing we're into overtime. Man, I'm already at 130 here. We're past. We're into overtime without the super chat. Graham Gallagher for the Lions signed a 3-year, $20 million deal. Not sure how good Glasgow was this past year, though. I don't know. 13 to 15. That seems more reasonable for a guard. Phil Twitter X used to not let as many characters. So more like 6 to 10 a year. Maybe. I think 10 to 12. Yeah, my Twitter's always the best. It's better than everybody. Howie will sign someone at 4 p.m. today. The sign was a late first day signing. Howie always lets the market come to him. Absolutely. Chin is an option as a depth piece for sure. I got to fire through these. I got to wrap this up here, guys. No overtime. Simmons and Chin at safety is a lot for Howie. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I got this, Eric. And the last comment of the day. Just finished 15 Glenlivet. We'll have to talk whiskey someday and bourbons and scotches. Duck. I'm one. I just buy one bottle at a time. Because I see these sites people have like liquor cabinets with 20, 30 bottles of bourbon or whiskeys and scotches. I'm like, no, I buy one at a time and I drink it. I buy the next bottle when I need one. Sometimes I treat to a higher end, sometimes I go lower end, whatever. People that have like 30 bottles and they just sip a little at a time. No, get the hell out of here with that. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. We got 2 minutes of overtime today, guys. Everybody have a great Monday. It's going to be windy. The last really cold day, hopefully, of the year or of the spring. Back tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe we'll be talking Justin Simmons. Maybe Jeremy Chin. Maybe somebody else. We will find out tomorrow. Nick Faria, formerly of Philadelphia Sports Network, Sports Illustrated right now, will be joining the show. I'm not sure for how much tomorrow, but we'll talk lots of NFL free agency with Nick Faria, who covers the Eagles, the Jets, and now the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll talk with him tomorrow. And guys, yes, as always, very simply, let me take that off the screen as I do this. Go Birds.